Hello. Hello. Welcome to the stream. I still don't have a better intro. You know, I did pause the heckin' chat BGM before I started the stream so that I could have different BGM for this stream. But I guess it decided to play anyway. But that's fine. We can stop when we get to the actual presentation. Hello, Theo. Welcome. I will say, doing this right after a stream where I did nothing but talk for three-ish hours, probably not the best idea. But oh well. I've had 2.5 throat lozenges. The other half is still in my mouth. And I've had a cup of tea with honey in it, so hopefully my throat holds up. Fingers crossed. But yes, today we are going through TEPPEN lore, explained by a Capcom noob. To preface this, my experience with Capcom is basically Ace Attorney and Okami. That's basically it. I don't play Street Fighter, I don't play Monster Hunter, I don't play Resident Evil. None of that stuff. Give me the lawyers and give me the Japanese mythology. That's it. Although obviously, for folks who have seen what I've been streaming, you know that I have tried out Mega Man Battle Network solely because it was featured in this game eventually. Eventually, we'll get to that point at some point during the presentation. But yes, well, there's the looping point of my BGM, so that's a good point to stop it. I have a 2-hour compilation of Capcom and chill music. I didn't fully check it out, but there were no ads when I clicked play, so hopefully there aren't any ads on this that I'll have to, like, quickly skip in the middle of the presentation. Anyway, TEPPEN lore presentation by me. Hold on, I need to turn the volume down in my ears. Like, I have it quiet enough for you guys, but I hear it at full volume, so I need to turn my volume down. Anyway, let's get into it. What is TEPPEN? Hold on, I need to move my microphone so I can look at my other monitor. TEPPEN is a real-time collectible card game for mobile devices. Oh, by the way, this entire stream is hashtag not sponsored. TEPPEN is not giving me anything for this. I just really like TEPPEN and I think it's cool. So, what does real-time collectible card game mean? Basically, you collect cards, but like the battles happen in real time. It's not a turn-based thing. They like attack on their own, and you just have to keep going while it's happening. I don't know how to explain it. We're not really here to talk about the gameplay, but oh well. Now, when I started making this presentation, it was only available for mobile devices. That is no longer true. As of this month, it is also available on PC through Google Play Games. I still don't know what the fuck Google Play Games is, but, you know, if you can't play it on mobile, you now have a way of playing it, potentially. It was developed by Gung Ho Entertainment and published by Capcom, and it features characters from a variety of Capcom franchises. At launch, there were 6 franchises represented. I was going to do a thing where it's like, hey, does anyone want to guess what 6 franchises were represented in the game at launch? And then I realized, like, oh, I've got the image here and it shows a bunch of them. Are you fucking stupid? So yes, Not all of these were in the game at launch. Some of these heroes were added later on, but the franchises that were represented in the game at launch were Street Fighter, Monster Hunter, Resident Evil, Mega Man X, specifically X, we'll get into that later, Devil May Cry, and Darkstalkers. Because for some reason Darkstalkers shows up all over the place in Capcom crossovers, but never gets a new game. I know that much. Anyway, we're not here to talk about the gameplay and the game itself. We're here to talk about the lore. So what... Hold on, I think I'm actually going to take my headphones off because the music is distracting. If it ever gets too loud, just tell me and I'll turn it down. Anyway. What is the world of Teppen? So, even though it's really just a collectible card game, the cards, like the artwork and the flavor text, all depict a single cohesive world rather than just depicting characters within their own individual worlds and like not bothering with any of it. I had this all rehearsed and my brain is shutting off. So in this world, all the different Capcom franchises coexist. The fact that they have lore like this is super cool, right? They all sort of coexist as part of the same world, and with the franchises that were there at launch, the setting is mostly set within the modern day. So like Street Fighter's modern day, Devil May Cry's modern day. Darkstalkers, I don't know what time period it takes place, but I think it's in like the demon realm, so it doesn't matter. The real world could be whatever time period they want. Resident Evil takes place in the modern day. Monster Hunter, I don't really know how they fit it in at launch. I think the idea is that the various civilizations of Monster Hunter just sort of... They're still in the modern day, they just sort of exist apart from regular society. The problem is Mega Man X, because how do you reconcile super advanced robots with what's supposed to be a modern day setting? So the way they did it is that the robots of Mega Man X were part of a super advanced ancient civilization that at some point like collapsed, as all super advanced ancient civilizations do. And it's only recently that the robots have started being reactivated, and that's how we get these in the modern day. X is in fact the first one to be reactivated, which we'll see later. This image also shows off the first 8 heroes that were in the game at launch. So we had Ryu and Chun-Li from Street Fighter, Rathalos and Nergigante from Monster Hunter, Morrigan from Darkstalkers, X from Mega Man X, Dante from Devil May Cry, and for some reason, their very first hero from the Resident Evil series was fucking Wesker. So, you know, that's interesting. Anyway, the first bit of lore we're going to get into, because lore is, I guess, delivered in 2 main ways. The first of these are the hero stories. Each of the main heroes has their own little story mode, which is also it's 3 little chapters with them each fighting off against 3 different opponents. That's sort of supposed to explain their motivation for heading to the Land of Illusion. Now, if you start looking into Teppen, you'll find the Land of Illusion all over their marketing. It's on their website, it's in the initial trailer, it's the first thing you're greeted with when you start the game, it's in their fucking Twitter bio. But if you were to actually play the game nowadays, you'd be very confused about, like, what the fuck the Land of Illusion's all about, because it doesn't seem to have anything to do with anything. When I first started playing the game, I went and I played through all the hero stories, and I was very confused about why it didn't seem to resolve. And that's because we're already done with the Land of Illusion arc. It's already been resolved. But it was just resolved in one of the card packs and not as part of a replayable storyline that is there for anyone to see at any given point in time. So, you know, a little silly there, but it's fine. We'll get there. Now, as I mentioned before, there are 8 main heroes. However, another 8 would be added post-launch, and EX skins don't get hero stories. What's an EX skin? Well, all of the main heroes can get skins, which essentially allow you to change how your character looks. However, all it does is change their appearance to essentially a recolor most of the time. EX skins, on the other hand, they not only change the artwork, they also change the voice lines, and even some of the skills get like renamed to better fit the new version of the hero. The first, I think there's like 3 of these that are basically just the original character, but in like a new version of them. But then the other 6 currently in the game, they depict a completely different character, and they're really just there as like, hey, you can play as this character, but we don't want to add a new hero to the game because balancing is a fucking mess. So we just made them a skin of an existing character and gave them the same abilities, but renamed them and whatnot. We'll get into what EX skins are in the game after I go through all the main heroes, but for now, let's go through the hero stories for the 8 main heroes that were in the game at launch, starting with Ryu. Some of the characters got a little redesigned for this setting. Ryu, for some reason, always has his gi torn open like this. Anyway, Ryu's story mode is actually the first thing you see when you boot up the game. It's sort of your tutorial on how to play Teppen. His story focuses on his struggle with the Satsui no Hado. He starts off, he's just sort of wandering the wasteland or whatever, and he runs into Rathalos, and the two of them fight. Because, you know, that's what Ryu does, he fights. As he continues his journey, he comes across Morrigan, who has been drawn to the dark energy within him, and essentially awakens the Satsui no Hado within him, sending him into a blind rage. Chun-Li comes across him in this state and manages to snap him out of it, but by this point, because he was consumed by the Satsui no Hado, he's already killed multiple people, which is, you know, not great. So he leaves in shame, but as he's leaving, he comes across a mysterious woman in a black cloak who tells him that the power he needs to overcome the Satsui no Hado can be found in the Land of Illusion. We'll encounter this mysterious woman in black many times over the hero stories. She sort of guides everyone to, you know, head there. What are her motives? We'll find out later. Anyway, next up is Rathalos. So Rathalos' story actually starts with it dying. Many years in the past, Rathalos got into a territory dispute with Nergigante. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but oh well. However, a mysterious someone stabs a magical dagger into the back of Rathalos's corpse, and it brings it back to life. If you're wondering why it looks like Rathalos is on fire, that's the dagger. The dagger is cloaked in flame and whatnot. So after being awakened, the first thing it sees is Ryu. By the way, these first 8 hero stories all take place at like roughly the same time. So the fight between Ryu and Rathalos in Ryu's hero story is supposed to be the same fight as Ryu versus Rathalos in Rathalos's hero story. This doesn't happen for the heroes that were added post-launch, but all of the launch heroes, their stories tie together like that. Anyway, he fights Ryu, and then, like, I don't know, he just flies off. It's because all the stories coincide, it's usually not clear who wins any of these fights. He flies off, sees a city, and is like, yeah, I'm just gonna fucking torch this city because I'm a Rathalos. However, as he's doing that, he encounters X, who tries to stop him because, you know, he's supposed to be protecting people. After clashing with X, he senses something, an old foe, and he finds Nergigante, the one who killed him in the past. And the two fight. However, I guess there's an earthquake or something, and the land splits between them, and they have to, like, fly off. And like, we'll finish it off later or whatever. Now, this wasn't clear to me until I did a bit of research and actually went back through the whole story mode just to check I knew what I was talking about. Apparently, the dagger actually gave him visions of the Land of Illusion, and there's new territory there for me to claim after Nergigante killed him and took his territory. It's like, okay, guess I'm going to the Land of Illusion. Some of their reasoning for going there isn't entirely clear, but oh well. Next up is X. So, as one of the last remnants of the ancient civilization, X is the first of the Reploids to be reactivated in the modern day. And upon being reactivated, he doesn't fully remember what his deal is, but he does know that he's there to protect humans. So he sets out, and he encounters Rathalos torching a fucking city. And so he decides, yeah, I'm gonna stop this fucking dragon from torching a city. Good on you. However, after defeating Rathalos, he encounters Dante, having activated his Devil Trigger form, which makes him look like a heckin' demon. And so X engages him in a fight. However, after scanning Dante, he realizes that he's not just a demon, he's part demon, part human. And he's like, fuck, what do? I'm not supposed to hurt humans, that's against my programming. But also this is a demon. Oh no. It gets even worse when after the clash with Dante, he, I guess, goes to some sort of umbrella facility and encounters Wesker. And Wesker has just, finished killing his boss. So he's like, oh no, you're a murderer, I gotta stop you. And so Wesker just hits him with the, you and I are not so different. Basically saying, this man, he threw away human lives for his experiments and whatnot. But he had no qualms about killing people. I killed him, and now you view me as a murderer, and you want to kill me. How are we so different? X doesn't know how to respond. After clashing with Wesker, he goes back to where he was first reactivated and starts to question, what is my purpose? Why am I here? What do I do? How do I resolve this conflict within myself, or whatever? And that's when a hologram reactivates of Dr. Light, supposedly telling him that his mission lies in the Land of Illusion. And so he sets off on a journey to go there and figure out what his mission is. Next up, Chun-Li. So Chun-Li's is a little confusing, but I'll explain why in a sec. So she had been in some mountain village training some children in the art of martial arts when this man comes to the village, like, on the brink of death, saying that his village had been attacked, and then, you know, he dies after having said that. So Chun-Li rushes over to the scene to try and help, where she finds Wesker testing out his new powers, some sort of virus from the Resident Evil series. I don't know. It looks like a bunch of leeches. I wrote down what it was called, but I only wrote it down on Wesker's slide, so I don't know what it's called right now. It's like, oh no, you're killing a bunch of people. That's not good. I'm gonna stop you. So Chun-Li fights him, and then I think he tries to escape, and so she tries to follow him. However, when she gets to the next city, village, town, whatever, that's where she encounters Ryu, who is currently in the grip of the Satsui no Hado. And so she fights Ryu and manages to snap him out of it, but Ryu, like, walks off in shame before she can really speak to him all that much. But then, so she goes off, still chasing after Wesker, I think. Maybe she's chasing after Ryu at this point, I don't fully remember. And then she runs into Dante, and she's like, get out of my way, I have an urgent mission. He's like, nah, I don't feel like it. I'll be honest, I don't know why she fights Dante. He's just sort of there. But, you know, they fight. And then after fighting, she makes it to the next city, but Wesker / Ryu is already gone. But she encounters the woman in the black cloak, who informs her that Shadaloo, the organization run by M. Bison, is reforming in the land of illusion, so she has to set out to stop them. Now this doesn't fully make sense, because as we'll see in a much later set, Shadaloo is very much not taken down at this point in the story. M. Bison is very much still here. He is still doing stuff. Maybe this can be explained through Street Fighter lore that I simply don't know, but it seems a little silly to me. Anyway, next up is Morrigan. So, Morrigan's story opens up with her having inherited the throne to Makai, the demon realm or whatever, from her father, but she's bored. Because, you know, all of the administrative tasks that come with, you know, being the ruler of a place. So she sets out to go have some fun. First thing she finds is, heckin' Ryu. And so she's like, oh, you've got some dark power within you, let me see it. That sounds like fun. And so she sends him into a blind rage. Unfortunately, it turns out he's too much for her to handle, so she flies off. And who does she find? Fucking Nergigante. At this point, it's not clear why Nergigante appears before her, but it will be explained in Nergigante's story. So she fights Nergigante, and then, you know, heads off to, like, flies off to another city, still looking to have some fun, and runs into Dante, who is instantly able to tell that she's some sort of devil and, you know, needs to be defeated. So, they clash. He activates his devil trigger, and she's like, oh wow, cool, let me show you what I can do, and like she disguises herself as a human. And that's when X appears and gets into the fight, and so she uses that distraction to escape. After she gets home in Makai, she receives a message from the mysterious woman in black, saying that the power of the Demon King is imprisoned in the land of illusion, and she should go there and reclaim it. Now, you would think, like, is this Demon King like what, like Morrigan's dad or whatever? Answer is no, because the power of Morrigan's dad appears in a later set. What they're probably referring to here is Mundus from Devil May Cry. Why? Because it says so right here. In Dante's story, he's out on a job. He's been told, like, hey, there's a demon you gotta go fight. Go do it. And so he does it. He hunts down Morrigan, but during the fight, like, it's a bit too intense and the building they're in starts to collapse. Dante activates his Devil Trigger, but not to fight Morrigan. He uses it to, like, have the strength and speed in order to get over and save a kid from the collapsing building. Unfortunately, by activating his Devil Trigger, he now looks like a demon, and X, you know, is like, hey, what the fuck is this? I'm gonna stop you. And then for some reason, after clashing with X, he runs into Chun-Li, and I still don't really know why they fight, but oh well. However, after clashing with Chun-Li, he encounters the woman in black, who tells him that Mundus, who to my limited knowledge of Devil May Cry, is the demon that killed Dante's dad, I think. Mundus is in the Land of Illusion. So he's like, well, shit, I better go to the Land of Illusion and kill him. Yeah. I think that's all I really have to say for Dante. Wesker. This is the thing I was talking about with the thing that looked like a bunch of leeches. The progenitor's virus, that's what it's called. Okay. Here's Wesker. Wesker's story starts with him killing the former head of Umbrella after unleashing the progenitor virus and basically just testing it out on the dude. And that's when X comes in and is like, oh no, you killed the dude, and it's like, yeah, so what? I'll kill you too. He doesn't actually kill X, but after, like, clashing with X, he realizes that, like, this virus, like, is very powerful, but his human form cannot keep up with it. The more he uses it, the more it corrodes his own body or whatever, something like that. And so then he runs into Nergigante for reasons that still aren't clear, but will be explained in Nergigante's story. However, he learns something from Nergigante. He's like, huh, this dude just shoots off a bunch of spikes, but then new ones grow back. If this virus is corroding my body, why don't I just get a new body? Find a new vessel to contain this corrosive power. And so that's why he was just sort of killing a bunch of people when Chun-Li found him, because he was looking for someone strong enough to contain the power of the virus or whatever. And then it ends with him deciding, you know what, I can do better than this. And he sets up a fucking, like, tournament? Dogfight ring, essentially? Whatever. He basically sets up this arena to have a bunch of people fight. And he's like, this way I can find the strongest person, and then I can use them as my vessel, or whatever. But while he's overseeing the tournament, he is approached by the woman in black, who says, you know, these people are below you. The real vessel you're looking for is in the Land of Illusion. Are you sick of hearing about the Land of Illusion yet? Don't worry, it quiets off later. Anyway, our final hero that was in the game at launch is Nergigante. And basically his story is like, yeah, I killed Rathalos in the past. I went to sleep for a decade. Convinced the woman in black is just the game dev. Don't worry, it all will be explained in time. So Nergigante's been asleep for a decade and is like, I'm hungry. I'm gonna go out and feed. And I think he senses some darker power and goes off and like, oh, a strong source of power, let me go eat that. And it turns out to be Morrigan. So that's why it appeared before her. Next, it's like, this power I'm sensing, it could only be another Elder Dragon. Why are the other Elder Dragons awake? I'm gonna go fight them. And then it turns out it's actually Wesker. And the power it was sensing was the progenitor's virus. But then, lo and behold, Rathalos is back and is like, oh, didn't I kill you in the past? What the fuck are you doing here? And they clash. But of course, the land splits in two, and they're unable to resolve their conflict. And then, rather than just receiving a vision of the Land of Illusion like Rathalos did, he senses that there's a strong power within the Land of Illusion and is like, yeah, I want that. I'm gonna go to the Land of Illusion. So, yeah, that's Nergigante. Those were all the heroes in the game at launch. Now we get to the second main way of delivering lore, and that's new card packs. Because each of them, much later, they get more into their own interesting stories and whatnot. But even from the beginning, new lore was mainly delivered through new cards. Starting with the first post-launch set, Day of Nightmares. This is as this is a very early set, there's not really much interesting going on. The set is themed around Resident Evil 3 and Operation Raccoon City. But while there are cards depicting characters from other franchises, there's not really a big, interesting crossover story going on in here. It's basically just Resident Evil, doing Resident Evil things. The trailer, at the end of the trailer, they do name drop the Land of Illusion, but it's basically just, brand synergy at this point. There's nothing really revealed about the Land of Illusion in this set. The main purpose of this set is to introduce the next hero to the game, Jill Valentine. So we've got two Resident Evil heroes. Chris isn't here. Leon isn't here. We've got Wesker and Jill. Anyway, Jill's story is that Wesker, betrayed Stars and she wants revenge. And she also wants to take down Umbrella. So her first port of call is tracking down anyone with any sort of connection to Wesker. And of course, because the woman in black was informing Wesker of like, hey, you should go to the Land of Illusion and do stuff, she's like, okay, she's got a connection to Wesker. And so she tracks the woman down, but the woman is accompanied by Chun-Li, and it's like, whoa, hold on, this woman informed me about, like, criminal stuff going on. She's an innocent bystander in all this. And Jill's like, no, fuck you, move aside. And so she fights Chun-Li. But during the clash, the woman escapes. And as she chases her down, Rathalos appears, because when they can't figure out how to insert more opponents into the story, they just have Rathalos appear. Rathalos shows up. Oh wait, no. Why Rathalos appears? Because the fucking... Instead of escaping on like a helicopter or some shit, the woman in black shoots a grappling hook onto a fucking wyvern. Or wyvern, however you want to say it. And she escapes that way, and then Rathalos shows up, because of course Rathalos shows up. Rathalos... Giant Monster Hunter monsters showing up is always great, yeah. So, the fight with Rathalos causes the building to start collapsing, which reveals Wesker was in the building the whole time. Because of course he was. Jill tries to fight him, but thanks to the progenitor virus, he's simply too strong. And instead of killing her outright, he's just like, nah, this is fucking stupid. You can't do anything to me. I'm going to the... I've got business in the land of illusion right now. If you really want to kill me, come find me there. I'll be happy to fight you, but right now I'm busy. And so he goes off, and Jill's like, well, guess I gotta go to the land of illusion now. Anyway. So the first 8 new sets after the game launched, they introduced like the next 8 heroes. And that's all the main heroes in the game. So, after Day of Nightmares, we had The Devil's Awaken, the set themed around Devil May Cry 5. Again, I don't think there's really that much crossover content in this one. It's just Devil May Cry doing Devil May Cry things for the most part. But according to the trailer, it's focused on Nero having... I said reclaimed his arm, but really it's more he got his new robot arm or whatever. And he faces against demons to save the world from an all-consuming night. The words taken directly from the trailer. This guy, I know he's important in Devil May Cry 5. He shows up in the trailer. A bunch of demons that could be from Devil May Cry, could be from other franchises. They show up in the trailer. Most importantly, an orchestral, like, opera remix of Devil Trigger, Nero's theme, shows up in the trailer, and it's kind of nuts. However, in case you couldn't tell, this is really just here to introduce the next hero, which is Nero. So, in Nero's hero story... Oh, also, the Land of Illusion gets name-dropped again at the end of the trailer, and nothing really comes of it. Anyway, Nero has just gotten his new robot arm, and he's out in search of new materials to, like, upgrade it or whatever. And while, searching for materials, he comes across X, who I guess he was searching in the ruins of the ancient civilization or something. He fights X, and yeah, that's it. He fights X. But as he delves deeper, he finds the woman in black being targeted by Nergigante. So, he drops in, fights off Nergigante, trying to play the hero or whatever, and saves the woman. But he's like, hey, what the fuck were you doing there? I get the feeling you weren't just there as a coincidence. And so she tells him, like, hey, I have some information about who took your arm. Presumably his real arm and not his robot one, but And so he goes off and finds the person who supposedly knows this information, Dante. And so he beats up Dante and is like, yeah, okay, the guy who took your arm, I don't know if it's implied to be Mundus or whatever, because Dante's story had Mundus in it. I haven't played Devil May Cry, so I don't know. But he's told that the guy who took his arm, I made a typo here, went to the Land of Illusions. Now, when here is a typo, but illusions is not. That's actually what it says in the game. Now, I don't know whether this was a typo on the devs' part, or whether they thought, like, hey, this is Dante speaking, not the woman in black. Dante could make a mistake and say it's the Land of Illusions and not the Land of Illusion. I don't know. But that's how it is in the game. Anyway. After Nero, our next set... Dante making mistakes on brand. Do I remember right? I do remember right. We start to finally get actual crossover content in this crossover game. The Force Seekers. According to the TEPPEN wiki, this is a set themed around Street Fighter, but really, it has characters from a bunch of stories. from a bunch of series. The story of the set is themed around Akuma and his quest for power, having him traveling around the world and defeating strong opponents from a variety of different franchises. Also, I think this may have been the set where the first EX skin was introduced, that being Evil Ryu, as you can see on here. But yeah, obviously, the set is themed around Akuma, which means our next hero is Akuma. Anyway, Akuma, his story is he just sort of wanders around facing off any opponents who are drawn to his power or whatever. First one of those is Morrigan, because she can't keep herself out of trouble. She senses his power and is just like, oh, I remember that. I fought Ryu and he had that sort of power. I want to fight you. And so he clashes with her and like, yeah, get fucked. Then he finds Wesker and is like, your power would destroy you or whatever. You I don't know. I don't remember his words. He fights Wesker. And then Wesker is like, you're pretty strong. How about, would you like to come to my arena or whatever? Obviously, it's not said in these words, but it's basically what happens. He comes to the arena, and who's there? It's Ryu. So they fight, but their clash is so powerful that it's almost destroying the entire arena. And Ryu's like, Akuma, we've got to stop. Otherwise, we'll destroy this whole place, and a bunch of innocent people who are watching the fight will get hurt. And so they leave. The arena ends up crumbling anyway, but they leave, and Ryu's like, hey, I'm heading to the land of illusion. Our true final clash will be there. And he's like, good. Go claim whatever power it is you want from the land of illusion. I'll meet you there and we'll see who's really stronger, or whatever, something like that. I don't know. I don't play Street Fighter, okay? I don't know what these characters are supposed to sound like. Anyway, after Akuma, I have honestly completely forgotten what the fourth set was. Haunted by Memories! I showed the trailer for this one on stream. This set doesn't really have a single interconnected story like the others do. It's more a series of like smaller backstories for characters who have a particularly troubled past, hitting on how their past grief can be both a blessing and a curse. With the characters prominently featured, both in the trailer and in this splash art, being Zero and Sigma from Mega Man X, who obviously, in a fated clash, had their moral alignments swapped somehow. Leon, who's now this, like, you know, he's badass zombie-killing dude, but originally he was just a cop whose city had been invaded by zombies. And Cammy from Street Fighter, who was once, like, essentially a puppet for M. Bison or whatever, I think. Look, I don't play these games. I don't know. None of the franchises that I really know are in the game yet at this point in time. Oh, another thing I forgot to point out with X, some people aren't particularly happy with how the Mega Man characters were redesigned for this game. Specifically the Mega Man X characters, because in order to have them sort of better fit the aesthetic of Teppen, a lot of their, like, robotic parts were kind of redesigned, and you got, like, random lines all over the place and, like, ball joints. Some people aren't particularly happy with that. I don't particularly care, but also I'm not a big Mega Man fan, so obviously I don't really care. The most important part about this set is, of course, that the trailer recreates the infamous "What am I fighting for?" scene. Yeah, it's depicted on a card, and then they also, like, showed that card in the trailer with an actual voice line from whoever it is that's voicing Zero in this game. Now, obviously, if they're going to recreate such a pivotal scene, that of course means that the next hero is Zero. So Zero, after being reactivated, he's reactivated sometime after X, and immediately encounters Akuma, who's like, for some reason, able to sense Zero's dark past as a maverick. That's what they're called, right? And Zero's like, no, I'm not like that. And then they fight or whatever. And then Rathalos appears because, you know, if you can't figure out how to introduce a second or third opponent into the story, just throw Rathalos at it. Easy. Rathalos shows up, and because of the fighting or whatever, and because of having just been woken up after however long being deactivated, Zero is driven mad by the memories of his past, which is probably why the set is completely themed around, you know, haunted by memories. But X shows up and is able to snap him out of it, and X is like, I'm going to the land of illusion. My mission lies there. I have to find out what it is. And Zero's like, okay, I'll come with you then, buddy. Let's go. And yep, that's it. That's Zero's story. Anyway, after Zero, Adventures of a Tiny Hero. Bit of a tonal shift. Except not really, because the story focuses around a feline whose entire village was fucking destroyed. So, you know, that's not great. He was the lone survivor of his village, and he's like, no, what do I do? But he encounters Nero and Nero's companion or whatever. I think her name's Nico. That's what I put in here, but I didn't actually look it up. But he's like, hey, like, clearly you've got a lot going on. If you really want, yeah, you gotta have, like, the strength to protect what it is you care about or whatever. And so the feline tags along with him on whatever big journey that Nero's going on. I think he's, like, going to, like, kill this particular vampire lady. And feline just tags along on the journey, like, hoping to find the strength he needs to protect what he cares about. Interestingly, all the flavor text for this set's cards are written from Feline's perspective. Normally, the flavor text is either like a bit of dialogue between characters that are depicted on the card, or it's like some random narrator just talking about what is happening in the scene. For this set in particular, it's all just Feline's thoughts about what's going on, which is pretty neat. And of course, since, you know, Feline is the focus of the set, that means our next hero, our third Monster Hunter hero, mind you, is of course the feline. So at the moment, I think at this stage, only Street Fighter and Monster Hunter have 3 heroes instead of 2 or 1. But Feline's story, like, ties into what the story of his set is. You know, he's exploring around his village and ends up finding treasure. But as he's finding it, he encounters what he believes to be a one-eyed monster. But really, it's just, it's Jill. But she's wearing some sort of, like, night vision goggles, which makes it look like she has one glowing eye in the middle of her, in the middle of her face. I was like, oh no, it's a monster, gotta fight her. But he manages to fight her off and gets the treasure back to his village, and, like, everyone's happy. But then Nergigante shows up and completely demolishes his village. He ends up being the only survivor, and then Nero shows up. It's like, damn, what the fuck happened here? And Feline's just very upset right now and just takes it out on whoever's there, that being Nero. But of course he isn't strong enough to actually beat Nero. So Nero just slaps him down. He's like, hey, you want to come with me? We're going places. We can give you, like, maybe you can find the strength you need. And so that's how Feline ends up with Nero. Now, they don't actually mention the Land of Illusion in this particular hero story, but the idea is presumably that because Feline is teaming up with Nero, Nero will take him to the Land of Illusion, because that's where Nero is going. Anyway, now we have something interesting, because all the previous sets up to this point were all using the original 6 franchises. So if I just go back real quick, if it'll let me. So we had 6 franchises to start with. And if we look, we have Resident Evil set, Devil May Cry set, Street Fighter set, Mega Man X set. Oh, it was actually only 5. Okay. Yeah, Darkstalkers doesn't get a set because Darkstalkers is just there for nostalgia bait, I guess. Monster Hunter set. Darkstalkers doesn't get one, but this is the first new set since the launch of the game that introduces a new franchise, and in particular actually introduces 2, that being Okami and Sengoku Basara. Now, I think the main reason these 2 were introduced together is because they both facilitated the need for brand new lore, because they're not really set in the modern day, they're set in, like, feudal Japan. So, the way they did it was that, like, far to the east on the continent of, the continent of Teppenlandia, it doesn't have a name, far to the east you'll find Amatsu no Kuni, the land of the gods, where the humans live alongside the deities and live a much more simpler life in tune with nature or whatever, which is why they, don't have modern technology. So the set it's in part a retelling of the opening of Okami with, where is my cursor? Orochi, this eight-headed dragon dude being revived, and Amaterasu being revived in order to, combat him. However, they also mix Sengoku Basara in it, as Amaterasu is aided by a bunch of characters from that game, and alongside the Demon King, alongside Orochi, the Demon King Nobunaga is also revived and commands an army of demons or whatever against Amaterasu and the Sengoku warriors. So, obviously, Amaterasu's got to be the new main hero. When I play Teppen, Amaterasu is the hero I use, because I really like Okami. Okami and Ace Attorney are the only Capcom franchises I'm particularly big on, and it just sort of fits with the way I play. I haven't mentioned it yet. The cards are split into 4 different colors, and each hero is assigned a color. If you want to play ranked, I'm pretty sure your deck has to be composed of cards of only one color, and it has to be the color that matches your hero. I particularly play with red cards, because red cards are focused on just doing as much damage as possible, which, head empty, brute force strategy, that fits with me. And Amaterasu is one of the 4 red heroes, so, it works for me. Anyway, Amaterasu is reawoken to, protect the village after Orochi reawakens. Nergigante shows up because, of course he does. Realistically, the reason why we don't really have any other existing characters showing up in Amaterasu's one is because it takes place, in a completely different place from where everyone else is. So it wouldn't really make sense to have the other characters showing up here all that much. You'll obviously you can see there's a certain someone here, but I'll explain that in a sec. Anyway, she wakes up, Negagante's attacking the village, she drives it off. It's like, okay, well, Orochi's woken up, I need to stop him. And she heads off to the city. However, the city is under attack by Rathalos because, of course, just throw a Rathalos at it, easy. But after defeating Rathalos, she's still not in the clear because with Orochi revived, the entire castle town has been transformed into a giant cursed zone, which is a thing from the Okami series. So she goes up and is like, "Ayo, king of the castle place, what the fuck are you doing? Your entire your entire town is a cursed zone." The king is being kept distracted or whatever by Morrigan. She's never explicitly named as Morrigan in this set, but it's Morrigan in what is the game's second EX skin. That being Morrigan in a kimono, referred to as, I believe, Night's Butterfly? Or is it Midnight's Butterfly? I don't remember. But that's their justification for why Morrigan is here. She's like corrupting the king or whatever. Amaterasu fights him off and, you know, saves the day. And then she goes off to fight Orochi. For whatever reason, this hero story never actually mentions the Land of Illusion. So I don't really know what the deal is. Maybe Amaterasu isn't involved in the whole Land of Illusion arc. I didn't actually check all of the cards for when the Land of Illusion becomes relevant, so maybe she actually isn't involved. Who knows? Anyway, we've introduced the land of Amatsu no Kuni. We're not going to leave it just yet because we have another one. The Battle of Amatsu no Kuni. This is a direct sequel of the story of the previous set. Amaterasu and the Sengoku warriors are able to successfully defeat Orochi and Nobunaga. However, we now have a clash between light and dark, with the warlord who aided Amaterasu to defeat Orochi, to defeat Nobunaga, and his rival, who I think, if I'm understanding the story of the set correctly, his rival his rival, this guy, once served Nobunaga. They're now clashing, commanding armies of light and dark. So that's the story of the set. I'll be honest, I don't know shit about Sengoku Basara. Going by the name, I don't even know if it was released outside of Japan. But we have Nobunaga's sister, Oichi. She, in the set, is essentially conned into becoming the new demon queen to replace her brother as the demon king. The person doing the conning is this woman here, Priestess Rao, from the Okami series. So, you know. The next hero is Oichi. So when people saw the new set, it's like, oh, we're going to get a hero from Sengoku Basara. Are we going to get this dude? I don't remember what his name is, but this dude's pretty cool. Maybe we'll get his rival. No, we're getting Oichi. So, I don't know if these demon hands are a thing from Sengoku Basara or if they're a thing that was introduced in TEPPEN. I don't know how much, like, fantasy and magic is in that series. For, like, just looking at it, to me it strikes me as more of a Dynasty Warriors thing. So, like, I don't know if there's magic and shit involved, but she has demon hands. Anyway, Oichi's story has her grieving the loss of her husband, who I believe was one of Nobunaga's generals. And as a result, she is overwhelmed by the darkness. And the darkness attracts those who would either seek to claim it or defeat it. first attracting Amaterasu, who's like, oh, this darkness is here, I need to stop it. But Oichi's demon hands fight on her behalf and like get rid of Amaterasu for her. Next, the Knight's Butterfly variant of Morrigan shows up. It's like, oh, another person with dark energy. I want to... This looks like fun. Because that's what Morrigan does. At least in Teppen, that's what she does. She shows up, it's like, let me see your power. Demon hands just fucking clap her cheeks. Sorry if that was loud. And, you know, get rid of her. And then, she encounters Priestess Rao being attacked by Rathalos, because if you can't figure out another character to put in, just slap a Rathalos in there. She fights off her demon hands fight off Rathalos, and then Priestess Rao is there just, you know, doing the shit she does in the set, basically conning her into being like, oh yes, I can bring your husband back or whatever, when really she's just trying to make her into the Demon Queen. Again, no mention of the Land of Illusion, so I don't know what the fuck's going on here. Anyway, we've now gone through 7 new sets, 7 new heroes. There's only 1 new hero left. And this is the point where it all starts to come together, because we finally get the reveal of who the woman in black was all this time. In the new set, a dark agenda. If you couldn't tell, ADA, it's Ada from Resident Evil. This entire time, she's been going around in this black cloak, convincing people to go to the Land of Illusion. Why? That's not revealed yet. The set's just, you know, her moving around behind the scenes, convincing everyone to go there. We don't know why she's doing it yet. Also, Strider is here for some reason. I don't know why, but fucking Strider Hiryu just shows up. He's here now. But yeah, we don't know why she's going around the place. We just know that, like, everything behind the scenes, she's been doing it. She, in particular, some of the things that it shows in the trailer, the hologram that X saw, she was the one who planted it there. She deliberately put herself in danger to let Nero play the hero and save her. I think there was another one that I kind of forgot, but then also she encounters Strider for some reason. I don't know why. But anyway, obviously our final hero is, in fact, Ada, which puts Resident Evil alongside Street Fighter and Monster Hunter as a franchise with 3 heroes, which of course means that we have 3 Resident Evil heroes, no Chris Redfield, no Leon Kennedy, which I find amusing. Anyway, her story has her, you know, doing shit by herself, doing stuff behind the scenes. She encounters Wesker, and Wesker's like, yeah, you're fucking, you're doing some shifty ass shit. He lashes out at her. She ends up escaping, and he just lets her escape. Like, yeah, she's using me, but I can use her as well. Next, she encounters Zero, who, at this point in the story, Zero hasn't been properly reactivated yet. She accidentally reactivates him and manages to fight him and deactivate him again, and then goes, okay, leave him deactivated for now. It's not his time in the story just yet. And then she goes to steal a particular treasure from Feline's village. I don't know why. I think it becomes important in, like, one of the cards in a later set, but I haven't gone through, like, every single card looking at the lore details, obviously. And then at the end, it, like, shows her in the black cloak and whatnot, revealing that she was the one who was guiding everyone towards the Land of Illusion. And then the her final panel of the story mode literally ends with, and then ... So that's where I was left, thinking like, okay, what now? I've played through all the story modes and it didn't reveal shit. What's supposed to happen? I don't get it. All will become clear in a bit. However, before we get on to the next set, I would like to take a brief moment to mention all of the EX skins. I didn't put a slide in here because it's not really lore important, but I thought, you know, let's at least mention what other characters you can play as if you're willing to fork over the money. So I don't have any EX skins because the way you get EX skins, you have to pull on very like special card packs, and then you have like a small chance of unlocking an EX skin. These special card packs can only be pulled on using paid currency. You can't use the free currency, you've got to pay for it. So, you know, unfortunately, I'm not going to be playing as any of these characters. But I've mentioned two of them already. There's Evil Ryu as an EX skin for Ryu, and Knight's Butterfly Morrigan as a EX skin for Morrigan. There's also a third one that is an alternate costume for an existing character, that being the Sengoku Machine Armor costume for Oichi, which sort of like replaces her demon arms with like mechanical fucking like Doc Ock arms or whatever. So I don't know how that fits into the lore. I believe it actually shows up in a later set, but you know. Then the other 6 are actual like brand new characters who just share their skill set with an existing hero. Those being Phoenix Wright from Ace Attorney, who is an EX skin for Chun-Li. Now, obviously, like, all the artwork is replaced, all the voice lines are replaced. All they share is their skill set. So because Chun-Li is a green hero whose skills focus a lot around, like, protecting your cards and, like, setting up shields and whatnot, they figured, you know, it's an appropriate choice to have Phoenix be a skin for her. Anyway, Phoenix Wright, fuck, what was her name again? Hold on. I need to quickly look it up. Yes, her name is Nina. Okay, Nina from the Breath of Fire series. She serves as an EX skin for Jill Valentine. Who is next? Cammy from Street Fighter as an EX skin for Nero, I believe. Then there's Virgil from Devil May Cry, who serves as an EX skin for Zero. Ruiner Felicia, which is Felicia from Darkstalkers dressed up as Nergigante from Monster Hunter. And obviously she's an EX skin for Nergigante. And most recently we had Strider Hiryu, who... I accidentally reversed the music. I was gonna try and step back, but oops. Strider Hiryu, who is an EX skin for Rathalos. So, you know, kind of cool characters there. They're not regular heroes, which means they don't have a hero story, and most people will never get to play as them, which is unfortunate because, who knows, if I'd been able to play as Phoenix Wright, then maybe I would have chosen a green deck instead of a red one, but, oh well. Anyway, so we have the reveal of Ada Wong being the mysterious woman guiding everyone to the Land of Illusion. So obviously that means everything's finally coming together and we're gonna see what this whole Land of Illusion crap's about, right? Wrong. First we need filler, and filler means Ace Attorney, baby! So I believe when this first launched, I didn't know about it, because I'd already completely forgotten about TEPPEN after realizing, like, yeah, this doesn't really look for me. This doesn't really look like it's for me. And then I didn't find out about this until much later. And this is also when I tweeted, like, I just now learned that they eventually added Phoenix in TEPPEN. And I was, like, disappointed to find that he was an EX skin and you had to pay for him. And then the official TEPPEN account replied to me, is like, yeah, he's in the game. He's also on a bunch of cards if you want to use him like that. I was like, oh, okay. Sorry about muting so much during this. I need to, like, blow my nose. Anyway, as you can see here, this set introduces both Ace Attorney and Dead Rising, and by Dead Rising, I mean there are like 3 or 4 cards that have Frank West on them, and that's literally the only Dead Rising representation in the game. That's it. Frank West shows up a bit. His name is Frank West, right? I'm pretty sure. Protagonist in the first Dead Rising. He shows up on a couple sets, on a couple cards, and no Dead Rising content has ever appeared in the game again. So, you know, that's great. So the story of Ace versus the People basically has Phoenix defending Larry in court against criminal accusations, and the entire thing is set out like an Ace Attorney case featuring characters from a bunch of different Capcom franchises. And the cool thing about this is that in order to celebrate the introduction of Ace Attorney to TEPPEN, they decided to leave part of it a mystery and have players try to solve the mystery using the card artwork and flavor text. Now, in the original version of this slideshow, I had a couple slides showing the entire, like, document detailing how the case went, but instead I'm just going to try and summarize it. And if you want all the details, you can check them out on the TEPPEN wiki. Anyway, so this all takes place in Metro City, the setting of the Final Fight series, where Mayor Cody is unveiling a new statue based on himself, which was like donated to him by the people as a thanks for like cleaning up crime in the city or whatever. However, on the day of the reveal, they take the top off of the statue to reveal that it's broken. The head has been knocked off the statue, and who is behind the top but none other than... I need to like shuffle my mouse around a bunch to like actually get it to reappear again, if you're wondering why I keep doing that. It's Larry Butts, he's under the top. Now, he insists that the statue was already broken by the time he got there, and he was just trying to fix it before anyone found out. But obviously, they don't buy it. He's arrested, and now Phoenix has to try and figure out the truth to try and defend him. The other potential suspects besides Larry are all up here, with Dan Hibiki from Street Fighter, who had taken up a job as security for the park that the statue was being set up in. Abigail from Final Fight / Street Fighter, who had a bit of a grudge against Mayor Cody after Cody like destroyed his car. And Trish from Devil May Cry, who was sort of like, there's just suspicious stuff going on around. However, these two, like, eventually the truth comes out. Abigail has an alibi, because while he was very upset with the mayor, he was meeting up with other members of the Mad Gear Gang, and one of them happened to take a selfie which had a timestamp, which had a like clock somewhere in the frame. And that clock revealed that at the time the statue was being destroyed, he was out with friends and thus couldn't have been the one to destroy it. Larry, as it turns out, also has an alibi, because a security camera at a nearby noodle shop caught Larry having lunch, or not lunch, having dinner, while the statue was being destroyed, and therefore he couldn't have been in the park at the time. Trish is a bit more complicated, because under her, I think her disguise is referred to as Gloria. Gloria shows up to the mayor saying like, hey, there's like rumors of, hold on, my virus scanner. I'm gonna skip that scan, I'm in the middle of a stream. Bro, I said skip this scan. It's like, okay, well, we'll postpone it for an hour. Great. So Gloria comes to Mayor Cody and is like, hey, look, in the newspaper, there's all this word about like demons appearing in the park. I happen to know a devil hunter who could take care of this for you. But as payment, we would like, if I can get my mouse to show up, this here blue orb that had been recently uncovered. We would like that as payment. And so Cody's like, yeah, sure. You're more experienced with handling demons, you take care of that. And he hands over the blue orb. However, 2 chunks of the blue orb have been carved out of it in order to make the blue eyes of the statue. And so Trish is like, huh, yeah, this isn't gonna work. I need the full thing. And so since, you know, she may have like done all this suspicious stuff to try and get the orb, she still has a job to do. So she goes to the park at night, on the night of the incident, and finds that the supposed demons that there were rumors about in the newspaper, it turns out they were actually just performers for a Steel Samurai stage show that Larry had brought into the park with him. One of them being Sasquatch from Darkstalkers, and I forget what the other one is, but I think it was a like monster from Monster Hunter, but like one of the more docile ones. And so she's like, well, there's no demons here. I guess I can just head home. But before she can leave, there's a big ol' explosion. And so she runs over and finds that the statue has been, like, broken. And so she's like, well, no one's gonna notice if the blue eyes of the statue are missing now, so I guess I'll just take them. However, she insists that the statue was already destroyed by the time she got there, and all she did was take the eyes. Which leaves Mr. Dan Hibiki, who has absolutely no alibi. And as it turns out, what happened, with him working security, he knew what Larry was bringing into the park, and he thought, hey, if I interrupt the Steel Samurai stage show and beat the villains before the Steel Samurai can, I can use that to promote my special martial arts. I forget what his martial arts style is called, but he's, you know, trying to promote it. And so on the night of the incident, he's like, hey, let's do a bit of a rehearsal. And so, using the code he got from Larry, he lets one of the monsters out of its cage and punches it in the face. This monster, I don't remember what it was called. It shoots explosive goo. And so it causes a massive detonation that sends Dan flying, breaking the statue in the process, and then the monster runs off. Dan is ultimately caught because, one, he was, aside from Larry, he was the only one who knew the code to open the cage for that monster, and two, when the monster was found, it had a fucking handprint on its face that matched Dan's fist. So ultimately, Dan was the one who was guilty of breaking the statue, and there's a card of him like running out of the courtroom after it's revealed, trying to escape. Now, I'm talking about all this on this screen because after Ada, no more main heroes were introduced, so now it's just going to go card set to card set to card set. So, the next set, at first kind of on the surface looks like it might be filler, but it's more relevant than you'd think. This is Dragons of War. Another new set, another new franchise being introduced, this time Breath of Fire, which is something I don't know shit about, but to my understanding, the story of Dragons of War here is sort of a recreation of Breath of Fire 3. With, like, the goddess Miria trying to wipe out the Brood, this guy being, like, the last surviving member of the Brood and going off to defeat Miria or whatever. But this is TEPPEN, so we've got to work in a couple of other franchises, because that's the standard now. We can't just go back to just retelling the story of an existing game. So Monster Hunter Stories is implemented, with the riders from the Monster Hunter Stories series essentially being allies to the Brood. And because it's set hundreds of years in the past, the robots of Mega Man X sort of serve as Miria's minions to wipe out the Brood. I think, I don't fully remember, but I think it's also implied that Miria may have been the one who created the dagger that ultimately brought Rathalos back to life, but I don't fully remember that. Anyway, it's hundreds of years before the mainline TEPPEN story, so if we ever see any Breath of Fire characters in the mainline TEPPEN universe, it's going to be very confusing. But regardless, that's really all there is here. Not all of the sets have as in-depth a story as the Ace Attorney ones. Maybe they do, and I just don't care enough to figure out the entire plot line through all of these different cards. And it's just that the Ace Attorney ones lay everything out for you. But anyway, this one at surface seemed like it might have been filler. It's not. We'll explain why in a sec. But the next one definitely is filler. This is Island of Fear. I'll be honest, I don't really know what the fuck happens in this set. This is where the budget started to run out, because this is one of the few sets that did not receive a trailer of any form. No animated trailer, no heckin' slideshow. It was just like, yep, this is the new set. To my understanding, it's sort of a recreation of Resident Evil Revelations 2. I don't know what goes on in that game, but my guess is it's something similar to this set. Basically, Claire Redfield and some people that she's working with are kidnapped and taken to an island by a character that I think is supposed to be Wesker's daughter, ? And they're fitted with these bracelets where if they succumb to their fear, they will be turned into a vicious monster that tries to kill everyone and everything. I assume that's what happens in Resident Evil Revelations 2, except in this set, instead of a bunch of normal humans, Claire is accompanied by characters from other franchises, as you can see here with Rose from Street Fighter, John Talbane from Darkstalkers, a Reploid who I don't remember the name of from Mega Man X. Heckin' Axel and Red from Mega Man X7 are also in this set. And I'll be honest, I don't think it really makes sense to have Mega Man characters in this set, because, like, I understand how, you know, the bracelets would, you know, turn a biological being into a monster, because, like, Umbrella's entire thing, hell, Resident Evil's entire thing is fucking bioweapons. How does that work with characters who are robots? I don't know. Point is, this set has absolutely no trailer, so I don't think you can really blame me for not really knowing what's going on here. However, enough filler. It's time to finally get onto the main story and figure out what the hell was going on in the Land of Illusion. Starting with Mission of Ruin. It's revealed that the reason everyone is being sent to the Land of Illusion is because that is where Miria has been dwelling this entire time. After being defeated hundreds of years in the past, she retreated to the Land of Illusion in order to, recover her power and start to grow her following. She started to exude her influence over certain people around the world, who would then spread her influence even further. As you can see, we've got some heckin' monsters. I think her name is DeCapra or something. You've got Virgil. A bunch of her followers all being influenced by Miria. And so this set is basically just explaining what the fuck Miria has been doing this entire time. I will say, it's kind of wild that out of all of the Capcom villains that they could choose, they chose a character from Breath of Fire to be the main villain of Teppen. Which, forgive me for saying this, Breath of Fire isn't one of Capcom's biggest franchises. So it's interesting to me that they chose her to be, like, the big bad that has been behind the scenes of everything so far. However, surprised it's not an original character for the big bad, yeah. Teppen is very low on original characters. I could only think of like one. But regardless, so Mission of Ruin is just detailing what Miria has been doing. But Miria isn't the only one who's been acting behind the scenes, because there has been a force that has noticed what Miria is doing and is quietly fighting behind the scenes to resist her. The resistance of Breath of Resistance. This is why Ada has been leading everyone to the Land of Illusion. So we also get the introduction of Red Earth. I don't know what the fuck Red Earth is about, but this dude is from Red Earth. Also, there's Colonel. Anyway, this set reveals the Resistance, who have been keeping track of Miria's movements behind the scenes and working against her to try and, fight back against her influence and plan her eventual downfall. The reason Ada has been leading everyone to the Land of Illusion is specifically because the Resistance needed all of these heroes to go there and have them confront Miria to take her down once and for all. I don't know what the fuck this ship is. I'm guessing it's something from Red Earth, and that's why they introduced Red Earth in this set. I did not realize that the scroll wheel would do that. Okay. But yeah, the Resistance is apparently led by Ada, Karen from Street Fighter, Colonel, or Colonel, if you will, from Mega Man X, and this lion dude from Red Earth. Cool beans. But of course, we now know what Miria is doing behind the scenes. We now know what the Resistance is doing behind the scenes. So we now have Defying the Light, in which all the heroes have now united in the Land of Illusion and are finally ready to take down Miria. This is essentially the culmination of everything that the Teppen storyline had been building up to at this point. And the set basically just details the hero's journey through the Land of Illusion, taking on all sorts of dangers before finally clashing with Miria. Even Feline is important. Fucking Feline, he works together with, I think, Sakura from Street Fighter in order to obtain some sort of special key that unlocks something that's instrumental to defeating Miria, I think. But of course, Ryu is the one who lands the final blow because, it's Ryu. Mr. Capcom himself. And that's it. That is everything that the main storyline of Teppen had built up to, and then it's done. Now, something I didn't mention. I mentioned that the budget was kind of running out by the time of Island of Fear. the budget was definitely not looking good while they were going through the main story, because instead of having the cool animated trailers that they had in previous sets, the trailers for all 3 sets of the Land of Illusion arc were basically just slideshows with text. So, you know, that's cool. That's definitely what you want for your big finale to the main story. Anyway, there would be another arc later on, but for now, it's time to get back to filler because, you know, the main villain's defeated, but we still need new card packs, so let's just introduce some random shit, like Genma Onslaught. Actually, I'm wrong. This is actually connected to the Land of Illusion arc. Also, here's Oichi in her Sengoku machine armor outfit. This one, I thought it was just random filler, but I was wrong. So this set introduces the Onimusha series, which is another series I don't know nothing about, which of course means we're going back to Amatsu no Kuni, since, you know, feudal Japan. But basically, after Miria is defeated in the previous set, it means that there is no longer anything to hold back the Genma, which I believe are demons from the Onimusha series, to my understanding. And so they descend upon the land of Amatsu no Kuni under the light of the full moon. And so the Onimusha and his faithful companion, a Palamute from Monster Hunter Rise, they face off against the Genma in order to save the village, and that's basically it. That's the set. They fight the Genma, and that's it. So it introduces the Onimusha series, also features some characters from Sengoku Basara, and also introduces some characters from Monster Hunter Rise, just because they fit the aesthetic of, you know, the Land of Illusion, the Amatsu no Kuni. We're done with the Land of Illusion, no more of that. Anyway, what's after Genma Onslaught? Super Spooky Village, which is the most ridiculous sounding name for a horror-themed set, but it makes some amount of sense. So this set introduces the Ghost and Goblins franchise to TEPPEN, and I saw in like the comments of the trailer for this one, because after they finished the Land of Illusion trilogy, I guess they got the budget back and they're able to do trailers again. If you look in the comments of the trailer, there are some people saying, like, if you knew like the Japanese names for these franchises, you knew this set was going, you knew this crossover was going to happen eventually, because, you know, yeah, you of course have here characters from Resident Evil Village, but Ghosts and Goblins in Japanese, apparently the name translates to something along the lines of Demon World Village. So they basically just mashed up 2 games with Village in the title in order to create this set. And basically, it's the story isn't too complex. Basically, the princess from Ghosts and Goblins is kidnapped, and Arthur sets off to go save her. But instead of taking her to some Demon World castle, she is taken to the village from Resident Evil Village. Also, the circus is in town for some reason. For some reason, although the main story of this set is Arthur going to the Resident Evil Village, I'm sure the village has a name, but I didn't bother to look that up. The main story is Arthur going off to the Resident Evil Village in order to save the princess. But there's also a side story where the circus has rolled into the village with its ringmaster, Felicia, and she, you know, tries to like be like, hey, it's the circus, this is all cool, but she ends up angering Lady Dimitrescu and is chased out of the village. I'll be honest, I think the main reason they introduced the circus subplot is because Resident Evil Village has that puppet character, Angie, and they wanted to have the puppet character from Resident Evil interact with the puppet character from Ace Attorney, Mr. Trilo Quist. So, they're just like, yeah, the circus is in town. So they had an excuse to bring in Ben and Trilo from the Berry Big Circus, as well as Mo the Clown. Fun fact: this is not the only time Ace Attorney characters have appeared in a horror-themed set. It has happened at least twice. For some reason, Ace Attorney characters just sort of show up in these places. Anyway, what's next? It's Jurassic Rampage, which is another set that, on the surface, I thought this was filler. It's not. Anyway, as you can probably guess, this introduces Dino Crisis. It's a crazy crossover. This is actually... I thought it was filler. It's actually the start of the second main villain arc. So basically, the story of Jurassic Rampage is there's a top secret experiment taking place on this island trying to harness some sort of energy. But the experiment goes wrong and it opens up a rift in space-time which brings dinosaurs to the modern age, which I assume is in some way related to how the Dino Crisis series works. I don't know shit, I'll be honest. But an investigation team is sent in to find out what's going on and to close the rift. The investigation team is predominantly composed of characters from Dino Crisis, but also Leon is there because, of course, you know, we had to have some crossover going on here. And although it seems mostly unrelated, the main villain dude from Dino Crisis, I assume he's the main villain. He's the guy who did the experiment that caused all the dinosaurs to appear. He's actually working together with someone from Mega Man X in order to bring forth a certain someone from the past. I think that's what it's implied they're doing. Because next is Operation Cannon Spike. So, we don't know who's behind the attack, but a very, very familiar silhouette appears at the start of the trailer, implying that they're the one launching the attack. And then all of a sudden, killer machines start launching an attack on humanity, led by 8 Guardians, who are, 8 Mavericks from the Mega Man X series. And so, the anti-machine special forces are sent out to destroy these hostile machines. The special forces, of course, being the playable characters from the game Cannon Spike. For those not informed, I had to look this up myself. Cannon Spike was another Capcom crossover game, but it was like a crossover shooter. And it featured characters from a bunch of different Capcom franchises. So they brought that into Teppen by having the characters from Cannon Spike be this like anti-machine special forces, and that like allowed them to bring in the small amount of characters who were original to Cannon Spike, like this dude. However, almost all of the playable characters from Cannon Spike are in here, even the one that would not make any sense to be part of the special forces. So Arthur from Ghosts and Goblins was playable in Cannon Spike, but it doesn't really make sense that he'd be part of the anti-machine special forces. So instead, he's not part of the group, but he does still get a card in the set. The only playable character that doesn't is Mega Man, for 2 reasons. One, they're anti-machine special forces, so it doesn't really make sense to have a machine on the group. And 2, it was the original Mega Man, and we can't acknowledge any Mega Man sub-series that isn't Mega Man X, at least not yet. These sets, right? At this stage in Teppen's life, these sets were coming out every 2 months, which means we've gone through this many sets. It has been like multiple years now since the launch of TEPPEN. All this time, it has only been Mega Man X. No other Mega Man sub-series has been acknowledged. Now, since we can't have Mega Man in the group, we had to introduce someone else to fill the void, and that void is filled by, what's his name? What's his name? Spencer, I think, from Bionic Commando. He's here for some reason. I'm pretty sure this is his only appearance in TEPPEN so far. But yeah, Bionic Commando is in the set as well. Anyway, you can probably guess who's behind this machine invasion. It's Sigma. It's revealed that the one behind the machine invasion and the space-time rift was in fact Sigma. And his plan has now come to fruition with the help of the only TEPPEN original character that I'm aware of, a Maverick. Oh, I typoed. I misspelt Maverick. Oops. With the help of a Maverick by the name of Akatsuki, I believe her name is, he uses combat data of all the heroes around the world to create robotic replicas of them, which not only allows them to like infiltrate all sorts of places and then start wreaking havoc, it also means that they are such perfect replicas that X is unable to harm them because he's not allowed to harm humans, which is like a really cool idea, I think. Now, ultimately, like, obviously the set shows Sigma's invasion, but ultimately Sigma is defeated. This in the background is like some giant mechanical superstructure. It had been infiltrated because it was on the island that the Dino Crisis set happened on. So, like, all the Dino Crisis characters and Leon, and I think, and like, what's her name? Ada as well. They were on there and they took it down from the inside, ultimately defeating Sigma. However, one of the extra cards in the set that was introduced, I believe, halfway through the season, it shows that, you know, they defeated Sigma, but ultimately the giant superstructure ends up falling out of the sky into the space-time rift that had been set up during the Dino Crisis set. Which is, hello, Mystery. Welcome, welcome. We are rambling about TEPPEN. Oh, thank you for the redeem. You have just come in at the end of the Sigma arc of TEPPEN. So Sigma is defeated. The superstructure with Leon and Ada on it has fallen into the time rift, and that kind of sets up a future set. But we don't have time for that right now because we've just finished a major villain arc, which means it's time for more filler. And that means more Ace Attorney, baby! I noted in this set, it introduces the Haunting Ground and Oda Ranger franchises, but only as like a minor sub-thing to the set. The main story of this set is that during a big festival, the host of the festival, his dog, that he is like, he loves this dog, right? He goes off and hosts the festival, and then he comes back after he's done with his presentation and finds that his dog has been turned into a zombie. Oh no. And who is in the room? Who's in the room? It's fucking Trucy Wright from Ace Attorney. So she gets arrested, and it's now up to Apollo to defend her and prove her innocent. So again, just like the previous Ace Attorney set, players were encouraged to use the evidence from the card artwork and the flavor text to figure out what actually happened. So there were 4 main suspects this time because they all had like the same briefcase. And so I was like, well, who does the briefcase that contains the T virus, which turned the dog into a zombie, who does this suitcase actually belong to? And so, I'm gonna spoil it. You can look up the full, like, mystery and how it all worked yourself if you want. The way the events transpired is, the culprit was in fact, BB Hood from Darkstalkers. So she saw that, like, the host of the festival was looking for a dog trainer, and so she was like, huh, that sounds like easy money. I can just, you know, train his dog to be nice, and then I get paid handsomely. But then she meets the dog, and it's an absolute fuck stain of a dog. Big old troublemaker, causing all sorts of chaos. It's like, no way I can do this. But one of the other attendants of the festival, Tressa from Red Earth, I think, she's invented this brand new drug called Easy Beastie, which can instantly tame any animal and make them completely obedient. And so she figures, well, I'll just you know, steal her suitcase, feed the dog this drug, and then, you know, apply for the dog trainer role, and then I can just, you know, instantly tame the dog and get the money. Easy. So because she and Tressa had the same type of suitcase, she just swaps it out and steals it. But I'm trying to, like, I should have written notes for this, because there's a bunch of moving parts here. So she needs to get to the top floor where the host's VIP room is, because she didn't get a VIP ticket. She has one of the regular rooms. So the way she does it is kind of wild. She shoots a paintball at one of the other VIP guests to get them to go up to the top floor. She puts a out of order sign in front of the regular elevator so that they have to use the freight elevator, and then she catches a ride on the underside of a fucking one of the I think it's, I don't remember what it's called. It's a bear monster from the Monster Hunter series. She clings to the underside of that so that she doesn't appear on the security cameras, and rides that up the elevator with the guest who she paintballed. She then goes to the host's room, which is currently occupied by Dan Hibiki, who, like, he's not a dog trainer, he's just the dog sitter. He's there to make sure it stays safe while the host is away. She leaves a, like, prank box or whatever. It looks like a present. He opens it up and it explodes, splattering him with honey, which attracts the bear monster, causes him running out the room, and so she's now free to feed the dog whatever. However, earlier on, when she stole Tressa's suitcase, what she didn't realize was that Tressa's suitcase had already gotten mixed up with someone else's who had a very similar suitcase. That someone being, I think her name's Estella from the Resident Evil series. And so instead of feeding the dog Easy Beastie, she instead feeds it the T-virus. And she's like, shit, I gotta get out of here. Runs off, grabs, like, the suitcase, but she doesn't grab the suitcase with the T-virus, because there's another similar suitcase here that was left there by Trucy Wright, because she came up to the room earlier after fucking Tornado Tunyon from Mega Man X caused a tornado that blew her magic panties up onto the balcony of the host's room. So she came up there like, hey, my panties are out on the balcony, can I grab them? She gets them, but ends up leaving her suitcase in the room. So when BB Hood flees the room, she grabs Trucy's suitcase instead of the one with the T-virus, which ultimately implicates Trucy in the crime by, like, Like, oh, you left this suitcase here when you got the panties. So you were the one with the T-virus. So ultimately, BB Hood was the one who poisoned the dog, even if she didn't mean to. And the way she's ultimately caught out, there's two bits of evidence against her. One is that she claims she was watching the fireworks festival, which is when the dog was poisoned, in order to give herself an alibi. And she claims that perhaps to like really sell the idea that she was there, she says that the final firework was particularly spectacular and she was really impressed. However, the final firework actually malfunctioned and exploded instead of... It was more of an explosion than a firework. So that proves that she wasn't actually watching the fireworks festival. And then to prove that she was actually in the room when the dog, got zombified. Something that I completely missed when I was trying to figure this out, and I didn't find out until they revealed it. In one of the cards, you can actually see that she has a bite mark on her arm. And she doesn't have that bite mark when she first checks into the hotel, which means she must have gotten bitten afterwards. But it can't have been after the dog was zombified because she isn't a zombie, which means the only time she could have gotten bitten was in the room before the dog had the T-virus, which proves that she was there and she was the one who poisoned the dog. It's fucking insane. Like, I know, like, people have, like, pointed to these sets and been like, man, now I really want, like, a fucking Capcom crossover Ace Attorney game, because they are fucking cooking with this shit. Anyway, to date, this is the last main Ace Attorney set that has happened. Ace Attorney characters have appeared elsewhere, but we haven't gotten any, like, in-depth mysteries like this one since then. My previous deck in TEPPEN, before the current rotation of legal sets, relied a lot on cards from this set. And unfortunately, they are no longer in the legal rotation, so I had to change my deck. But it's fine, because next, we're still in the filler arc. We don't really have another main villain arc yet, so I guess everything now could be considered some amount of filler. Next, we have Demon Dogfight. So this set, I originally thought there was some anachronistic stuff going on in this set, but it can actually be explained. So this set is focused around a clash between three different demons. Morrigan, Dimitri, and Jeddah, all from the Darkstalker series. And it's set right after Morrigan's father, Belial Einsland, has died, and his demonic power was all absorbed into the roots of a tree, and all concentrated into this single fruit. And so they're all trying to claim the fruit for themselves so that they can then inherit Belial's power and thus claim the throne to Makai. Now, the funny thing about this is that the devs, apparently, in an interview they revealed they thought up the idea for this set and like, oh yeah, it'd be a clash between armies of demons and whatnot. And then they realized, wait, Morrigan doesn't really command an army. How are we going to have her take part in this? And so the idea what they came up with was like, what if we brought in the three lords from the recently released Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak DLC and have them each team up with one of these monsters? However, it's not just demons and monsters that show up in this set, because with the set taking place many years in the past, they decided, hey, Okami has a part in the game where you go into the past. What if we use characters from Okami's past in this set? And that's why I originally thought this set didn't make sense. Like, why are there characters from 100 years ago showing up here. But the reason is because, you know, this is well before the mainline Teppen chronology. But my understanding of what happens in the set, they're all fighting over this. They've teamed up with the Three Lords, but in particular, Jeddah, he's not cooperating with his monster. I don't know what it's called. He's controlling it. But after an encounter with Shakya, the infant form of the tree sprite from Okami, she sort of sets this monster free from its control, and it rebels and fights against Jeddah. Now, ultimately, I don't think they show the result of this fight, but presumably, since the game starts with Morrigan already having inherited the throne to Makai, presumably she's the one who claims the fruit. Also, thank you for the follow, Mars Crisis. I hope you enjoy your stay. We're rambling about Teppen right now. Anyway, I'll be honest, after getting really into the game with Turnabout Festival, because that was around the time when I actually started playing. It was just coincidentally, I was like, man, I think I'm going to try this game out. Oh, what? They've got an Ace Attorney set going on right now? That's fucking cool as hell. But then the next set was this, and I'm like, I don't really know jack about Darkstalkers or Monster Hunter, and so I played this a bit less than the previous set. But then I got right back into it with 30minutes.exe. This, after 4 years of Teppen, was the first time they acknowledged a Mega Man sub-series that wasn't Mega Man X, with the introduction of Mega Man Battle Network. So the story of this one is Battle Network, let's go. You can blame this set on why I started streaming Battle Network a while back. I played this and I'm like, man, I kind of want to try out Battle Network. So the story of this one is that the ancient civilization that Mega Man X was part of, they went extinct, but not all of them did. Some of them, before their civilization collapsed, jetted off into space and formed their own civilization on a space colony known as Den City, which is the name of the city that Mega Man Battle Network takes place in. So now I almost knocked my bottle over. Many years later, with the descendants of those characters, they're just living their lives as normal when suddenly every screen in the city shows an ominous message and a countdown of 30 minutes with an announcement from Mr. M. Bison. This is what I meant when I said that, like, Shadaloo is clearly still around, so I don't know what the fuck Chun-Li's story mode was talking about. M. Bison shows up and says, like, hey, I've hacked into the net. Your space colony is going to crash into Earth in 30 minutes unless someone stops me. Because, you know, M. Bison is evil and does evil things. So, in order to stop him, like, Lan and his friends are like, yeah, we gotta use our net navis to, like, stop him from taking over the net or whatever. Crashing a space colony into Earth is basically a Gundam plot. To stop him. However, Den City, even though they're more focused on the net now rather than on physical robots, they do still have, I believe they're called operators from Mega Man X, the ones that, like, send X and Zero out on their missions. They do have an operator who just, you know, happens to be the operator from Mega Man X Dive, the mobile gacha game. And so she's like, oh no, I need to find someone to stop M. Bison. And so she contacts Ryu and somehow transports him into the net in order to stop M. Bison. And so Ryu and Megaman.exe team up to try and stop Bison. But there's more than that, because, you know, Shadaloo, in order to invade the net, they need their own net navis, right? Those net navis are characters from Street Fighter the movie. Specifically, the random Shadaloo troopers that were added as playable characters in the Street Fighter the movie, the game, with the digitized actors. So they're in there for some reason, and M. Bison's net navi, in particular, is fucking Cyber Akuma from Marvel Superheroes versus Street Fighter. Or was it... I think it was that one. It might have been Marvel vs. Capcom. It was one of those crossovers. Fucking Cyber Akuma. But ultimately, they're able to save the day, and with seconds to spare, they stop M. Bison's program from crashing the colony into Earth, and everyone's happy. But mostly people are happy because now Mega Man representation doesn't have to be limited to just X. Yeah, I was very interested in this set. The cards from this set keep kicking my ass whenever they appear in a ranked match. But yeah, this is the reason why I started playing Battle Network. Next up, this set released around like October, so it's spooky themed. This is the Daymare Diary. So the set follows Sherry Birkin from the Resident Evil series. It actually starts with her as an adult from later Resident Evil games, but after investigating a strange picture diary, she starts reading it and then feels very sleepy, and then collapses. When she wakes up, she finds herself in a strange nightmare world, and finds herself having been regressed to her childlike form from, I think, Resident Evil 2 or 3, I don't remember which one. And so she needs to... she's told by her guide, Angie from Resident Evil Village, that she needs to find the missing pages of the diary in order to complete the diary, otherwise she will never escape from the nightmare. And so it's basically just a horror-themed set of Sherry exploring this nightmare mansion to try and find the pages and get out. So there's like scary monsters from a variety of different games, like this dude from Monster Hunter, as well as like twisted versions of existing characters to better fit the aesthetic, such as this ghost feline, which is not scary at all, but you know, he's there. He's doing his best. In the extra cards for the set, it's actually revealed that within this nightmare, Sherry had like 5 lives, but she actually died 4 separate times before the events of the, like, what we get to see. So she was on her last life here, but she did, in fact, manage to escape. I mentioned before that there are at least 2 times that an Ace Attorney character has appeared on a horror-themed set. This is the second time. Fucking... What's her name? Dahlia Hawthorne from Ace Attorney 3 shows up as one of the monsters in the Nightmare World. So, you know, that's cool. Now that I can't use characters from... now that I can't use cards from Turnabout Festival, I've started using cards from this set instead. And that, unfortunately, I don't have a card of Dahlia Hawthorne. I would like to get one, but unfortunately, it wasn't on the cards for me. Anyway, after this set, where are we at? This one. Okay, you can see my notes for this one are particularly short because I don't really know what the fuck's going on here. This is the Beautiful 8. This set introduces the Cyberbots and Megami Meguri franchises. I don't know what Megami Meguri is, and I only know Cyberbots because fucking one of the characters appeared in Project Cross Zone. However, the main focus of the set is that a precious artifact has been stolen from, I believe, the village of Monster Hunter Stories 2. So I guess Monster Hunter Stories 1 is hundreds of years in the past, but Monster Hunter Stories 2 is modern day. And so, like, the person who it was stolen from contacts some guy, I think he's from Resident Evil, not Resident Evil, Devil May Cry, as like, hey, I need help getting this back. And so he contacts the Beautiful Eight, a group of femme fatales who will infiltrate a black market auction in order to steal this this important artifact back and, you know, bring it back to the person it was stolen from. And these femme fatales, of course, include Trish and Nico from Devil May Cry, the fucking princess from what's it called, Ghosts and Goblins, a random feline and a random grandma merchant from Monster Hunter, one of the operators from Mega Man X, who I forget the name of, a fucking, I think her name's Mika, a fucking Ponkel from Okami. This tiny little light is in fact one of the characters. And of all characters they could pull from Ace Attorney, fucking Wendy Oldbag. I'll be honest, I don't know if this set's canon because it's so fucking weird. Like, yes, all these characters were in fact working together the whole time, and they are a secret group of femme fatales. I don't know what the hell's going on. It did give me more Ace Attorney characters, one of which I am using in my deck, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, it's an experience. It's a thing. That's all I really have to say about this set. Anyway, now we get back to something resembling the main story. This is Absolute Zero. It introduces yet another Mega Man sub-series, specifically the Mega Man Zero sub-series, as well as the Lost Planet franchise. So this takes place after the Sigma arc, where the mechanical superstructure fell into the time rift with Leon and Ada still aboard it. They arrive on a distant planet that I don't remember the name of, but it's the planet that Lost Planet takes place on. So I guess I don't know if it's explicitly stated, but my understanding is that the reason we have, you know, Reploids here that don't look all broken down and whatnot is because in what we've found ourselves in is an alternate timeline in which, instead of going extinct, the ancient civilization like explored the cosmos and found this planet, and that's why Reploids are still around. However, not all is good, because heckin' Copy X has been placed in charge of the city. Copy X being created by some villain from Mega Man Zero. I don't know, I haven't played that game. And only Zero can stop him. But with Leon and Ada finding themselves in this alternate timeline, they're like, yeah, we'll help out. Because Leon ends up piloting a fucking mech from Lost Planet. Probably this one specifically, he's inside there. And Ada, for some reason, has been transformed into a cyber elf from the Mega Man Zero series. And so she helps out Zero to defeat Copy X. And it's not explicitly stated, but it's kind of implied that she sacrifices herself to use her cyber elf power in order to take down Copy X. I don't know if that's actually the case. We haven't got any sets that are explicitly set after this one, so we don't really know what happened. But I don't know. Maybe this is kind of setting up that maybe we're getting some sort of multiversal thing going on. Or maybe this is going to be the only one set in this alternate timeline, and Leon and Ada are just gone now from the main TEPPEN timeline. We just won't see them again. Who knows? But this one was pretty cool. If I had actually, you know, done this presentation in January like I was planning, this would have been the final set, and I could have said like, oh yeah, this is where we're leaving off. Maybe this is the start of a new arc to do with like the multiverse and stuff. But because it took me like 3-4 months to finally, 3 months to finally put this all together, we have had a new set since then. And no, we're not going into a new arc, we're going into more filler. This is Schoolyard Royale. This is the introduction of the Rival School series to the franchise. And I'll be honest, I don't think this one's canon. At best, this is an alternate universe. At worst, it's just fan service. It takes place within a high school, but like the principal of the school is a fucking Sasquatch from Darkstalkers, but he doesn't really care about anything. He just delegates all his duties to the Morals Committee, which is a group of students, I guess, and the quote-unquote Bancho boss, the strongest of the students in the school. Now, the previous Bancho boss is graduating after many years as the school's basically ruler. And so now there's a fight over who will be the next Bancho boss, with each of the competitors having, a different set of morals they want to follow. We have Batsu from the Rival School series, who, I don't know, he's like the power of friendship representative here. I don't know, I didn't really fully read what his deal is. We have Cammy from Street Fighter, who is like, this whole Bancho boss shit is fucking stupid. Why doesn't the principal just do his fucking job? I'm gonna become the Bancho boss so I can put an end to this stupid tradition. Then we have Morrigan, who, if you couldn't tell by how her uniform looks, she just wants to she wants to be in charge so she can make the school uniforms more quote-unquote stimulating. So, yeah. And then we have fucking Sigma here. Sigma wants to be in charge because he believes that the strong should rule the weak. And, yeah. Since he's strong, he wants to be the one in charge. Now, the reason I say this makes no sense, the most obvious thing is that Sigma is here. Because, like, what the fuck is Sigma doing here? He's supposed to have been defeated, and even if he was repaired, what the fuck is he doing attending high school? Secondly, multiple characters who are, as far as I'm aware, supposed to be adults, like, for example, Morrigan, are attending high school. I don't know what the fuck's going on. I'm guessing they just couldn't think of a better way to incorporate rival schools into the lore, so they're just like, yeah, it's a school theme, high school AU. However, I do appreciate that they did incorporate a couple of Ace Attorney characters into this one. But yeah, they've already, for some reason, they've already half revealed what the extra cards for this set are going to be, by showing off that apparently they're going to be quote-unquote exceptional exchange students. But I only remember two of them. One of them's the fucking Steel Samurai from Ace Attorney, and the other is, like, I think his name is Oro from Street Fighter. Hold on, I need to check Oro's Street Fighter images. Yeah, it's him. Fucking Oro from Street Fighter is showing up as an exchange student. It's probably being played for comedic effect. But yeah, I don't know what the fuck's going on here. I am almost certain that this is not canon. This does not fit in the main canon lore, and they've just sort of gone, well, we've got a multiverse now. Might as well just throw things into it. Also, the fucking background music that just came on is from Rival Schools, so you know, that works. And as of now, this is the final set in TEPPEN. So who knows where we're going from here? I certainly don't. I only know, like, fucking 3 Capcom franchises that haven't been represented yet. So who knows when they'll get added. Honestly, I would not be surprised if the next set wasn't... if the next set was themed around fucking Dragon's Dogma. That's Capcom, right? Because they just released Dragon's Dogma 2. So it would make sense for them to go, oh, time for more Dragon's Dogma. Let's introduce them to TEPPEN in order to promote the new game or some shit. I don't know if TEPPEN does that, honestly. Because they only release sets every, like... Well, it used to be every 2 months, now it's every 3 months. But yeah. Oh, also, I mentioned before that the Mega Man.exe set, that one had a character from the Mega Man X gacha game. So does this one, because this outfit for Sigma is taken directly from the gacha game. And so they also added a trio of characters who appear in that game to this set, even though I'm pretty sure one of them is too young to actually attend high school. Dragon's Dogma plus Sigma plus... yeah. And so, thank you for listening. That is TEPPEN lore, according to a someone who doesn't know shit about Capcom. Any questions? That was fun. I'm glad I got to go through all that. Maybe I'll actually play TEPPEN on stream one day, who knows? When's the test? I did actually make a heckin' quiz on Sporkle based around TEPPEN, but it's not all based around the lore, so it wouldn't make sense for me to link it here and go like, hey, fill in this quiz and see how you do, because there are stuff in there that I did not mention on the stream to do with like gameplay stuff. But yeah. Oh, the other 2 Capcom franchises that I am somewhat aware of that aren't included in TEPPEN just yet are Ghost Trick and Asura's Wrath. That's all I know. I only know Ghost Trick because it's Ace Attorney adjacent, and I only really know Asura's Wrath because I watched Miko play it on stream. And yeah. That's it. So, I guess that's going to be it for today's stream. I had fun rambling about TEPPEN. Just getting all the TEPPEN brainworms out. Awesome presentation. I'm glad you enjoyed it, Theo. I need to rest my throat. I was thinking like, if depending on how long it takes me to get through the stream, I might be able to work on like a song cover today, but like, no, I need to rest my throat. I need to stop talking. But yeah, so next stream will probably be, next weekend, Saturday, probably, unless I decide to like sneak in a stream earlier. And we'll probably be going back to another code. I don't think I'm going to immediately jump into another rambling stream after I completely destroyed my throat this weekend. But yeah, let me see who's online. Oh, we just finished. We had like 2 minutes left on the Capcom music compilation. But we'll just put our regular BGM on and mute this while I have a look around and see who's online. Oh wait, I was going to move my window over to this side, but my desktop's showing there. Actually, you know what? We'll go over here, just so I can close all of this, just so I don't show anything I'm not supposed to. Okay, yeah, Miko is still live. Let me just check to make sure she's not like... Okay, yeah, she's still in the middle of something. Da, da, da. We'll return the raid from yesterday. Da, da, da. Miko is currently playing Metroid Zero Mission. Here are the raid messages. Thanks for streaming the Wariosphere. Thank you for tuning in. Alright. I am going to shut up now and go do something else. Metroid is my favorite Capcom game. Does Capcom have any Metroidvanias? I can't think of any off the top of my head. Anyway. Thanks for watching. Otsukame. Bye bye. And scene.